Welcome to Third Eye Weekly. Joining us today is Claudia Joseph, founder and director of New York Permaculture Exchange. Thank you for joining us, Claudia.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so maybe we can get started with you explaining a little bit about what permaculture actually is.
Permaculture is a design field for sustainable communities. So that means it's a whole systems design approach that studies all of our needs, including energy, water supply, waste cycles, our shelter, our food, everything that we need to have a happy life.
So how have you implemented permaculture in places like the Old Stone House, which is a local house trust in New York City and Washington Square Park in Brooklyn?
Well, that's a really exciting project for me because it is so very public. So it's an experiment in utilizing the public commons that I think are unique in that respect, that we've tried to make a useful public landscape in which the neighbors and visitors interact with the gardens. So it explores another aspect of permaculture, what we call the invisible systems, which are more education, health and well-being, purpose in life, and spiritual needs. So those underlie the other larger systems that I named earlier. And so, yeah, we're out in the landscape interacting with people. They're touching and experiencing the plant life. It's somewhat wild, and it is different than your traditional formal landscaping model.
First become interested in this type of work, and how did Permaculture Exchange kind of derive out of your work from the Old Stone House?
Actually, the Permaculture Exchange preceded my work at the Old Stone House. I started it in the East Bay of California, where I had taken my first permaculture certificate, and actually my second permaculture certificate was also in California. I had a history of relationship to a natural landscape, and community work also. So the permaculture exchange idea utilized the principle of sharing. There are three basic principles in permaculture: care of the land, care of the earth, care of people, and sharing the surplus. So the exchange is all about sharing. So I started that in the East Bay. I ran the first East Bay Permaculture Convergence in the year 2000. And then in 2001, we moved to Brooklyn, New York. So the first place I went was to my local organic community garden on Union Street. And I worked there from 2001 to 2004, and I still have a leadership position in that garden and run the giant compost system. But in 2004, the house, which had been closed and underutilized, got a new executive director. That the neighborhood formed a board of directors and raised enough money to hire a new executive director. And I heard through the grapevine that she was looking for a colonially referenced kitchen garden. So since it was 2 blocks from my house and I took my daughter there to play several times a week, it was very easy to just start from there. So here we are 10 years later, and we have 10 gardens, including 2 at the adjacent schoolyard. And I have probably an acre of land under my my jurisdiction. So, so it's it's developed very organically, very unexpectedly, and in quite a lovely way that's in cooperation with the neighborhood.
Nice. So what are some of the events and programs that the New York Permaculture Exchange hosts to spread awareness on permaculture?
We have an annual seed swap. That was a very interesting undertaking because when I first started it 10 years ago, the word swap wasn't in circulation much in New York City. People were, swap, what do you mean swap? You know, can I buy some seeds? So indeed we started selling some seeds, but we also let people bring their old seed packets or solicited from seed companies to get donations and gave away free seeds. And we save seeds on the site to share with people and to you know, promote the idea that seed saving is a historic tradition for 10,000 years and that we need to control our seed supply and not turn it over to major corporations. So it's an educational event, it's hands-on, and it's really beautiful how many people get excited about seeds. We also are going into our 4th year of the Permaculture Festival. That will be in October 3rd this year, where we do Skillshare. So we show people how to sheet mulch, how to ferment, how to dye fabric with plant dyes, you know, different, we did cob last year, you know, we do some more esoteric things, but it's, you know, a fun festival where people share their knowledge and communicate with each other. That is one of the harder aspects of working in New York City is our size. That it's very hard to get a nucleus of people that are in close communication because we're all going in different directions all the time.
Do you think the philosophy and principles of permaculture can help the neighborhood like Gowanus, where you're located in Brooklyn, and other neighborhoods?
It can help any neighborhood anywhere because it's about principles of cooperation and of, you know, sustainability. So what we're doing is converting linear systems that lead to dead ends into cyclic systems that reloop and gain energy. There are a lot of projects that look like permaculture that aren't called that. There are many, many sponge parks and swales and, you know, water storage constructions happening in the Gowanus neighborhood. So our garden beds are built on contour to capture stormwater runoff, and that helps the Gowanus Canal. It prevents contamination during storm events. There are a million ways to apply it, whether it's growing some of your own food. I share with the nannies who come to the park, so they're coming from outside the community into a wealthier community full of abundance, and I can give them all kinds of herbs and fresh vegetables. The little children see the food and learn to recognize it. Then I did a lot of work with the adjacent middle school and the special education classes, and many of the children are not familiar with whole foods. So it, I think, is to everyone's benefit to understand our connection to food. We do, you know, multiple events addressing all the different types of work that we that are really important now, you know.
So for the New York Permaculture Exchange, what's in store for the rest of 2015?
Well, we have a big harvest coming in, so I've been making a lot of jams. But we have a guild meeting every month. So the Park Slope Permaculture Guild is a nucleus of primarily former students of mine. I teach the permaculture design class every year, and a lot of people want some continuity. So we formed the guild 3 years ago, and those people help present the Seed Swap and Celebration and the Fall Permaculture Festival. Predating the Fall Festival, we used to chop pumpkins after Halloween. That's how the festival came into being. It was an add-on to the Pumpkin Smash event. Now we've moved it earlier in the year because we found after Halloween it's pretty cold to have an outdoor event. But we will have, that festival and the Pumpkin Smash again. The monthly meetings are a really good place for people to float their ideas and to get support from the community to continue their work. So we're partnered with BK Rot in Bushwick. Renee Pepperone is doing a fabulous job there, employing youth to collect organic material for a big compost system that feeds into local gardens. So we try to do that kind of thing to partner and support other Permies that are working, as well as keep our site going and to continue to educate our community about the environment.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. That's all the questions we have. I wish you all the luck with Permaculture Exchange.
Okay, well, thanks very much. It's really nice to enter another network, maybe find some new people who are interested. And we're always at the Stone House. That's my permanent livelihood. And I'm there Tuesday and Wednesday in the gardens if people would like to find me.